Hello everyone and welcome. Today we'll be doing Lambda's 100 Entropy run. For my starting buff, I'm going to go with Chance Damage Boost. Attacks and skills have a 5% chance to do 100% more damage. It's going to be proccing very often on Lambda with how often her attacks hit. For my Mind Crystals, I go with HP Mixture Healing and HP Mixture plus 3. That's the best and most consistent source of healing throughout the Mind Crystals. The other Mind Crystals require you either to have certain conditions, like finishing the room you're in, or killing a certain amount of enemies, being on a kill streak, things like that. Whereas the mixtures you can use anytime, even in the middle of a boss fight if you're about to die. And just the amount of healing you get over the 3 mixtures with the extra healing is really insane. They'll pretty much always heal you back to full HP. And then when you pair that with the shop items cost 90% less, you can even get more free mixtures throughout the run. Shop item discount is very, very strong in any entropy setting, so I take it most of the time. I'm also taking max MP, since Lambda uses a lot of MP-based skills, and then rest can remove debuffs to remove the debuffs throughout the run, and whenever combo goes up by 10, the damage is increased by 4%, since Lambda can very easily get to high combo numbers. For my legacy, I'll be starting with Skill Lightning, and then Cold Attack and Frost Burst. This will cover me for if I get into a skill-based build, the Chain Lightning will be good, and if I get into an attack-based build, the Frost will be very strong. The Chain Lightning is also just going to make the first area here pretty much a breeze, which can be one of Lambda's very weak points, is her early stages before she starts getting potentials. Corsair Saber is going to be a very nice potential to pick up first here. Corsair Saber itself is very strong and can be used for boss DPS. It also goes into a hidden effect with Heavy Strike that I want to look out for throughout the run. So a couple things you can do if you're struggling with playing Lambda's early game is, one of the things is what you just saw right there. A lot of stages will have stage hazards, and this applies to any character. Especially in the very early stages, a lot of times it can be a lot faster to just push the enemies into the stage hazards, rather than trying to kill them yourself. In the case of this run, I could have used the Chain Lightning to kill them a little quicker, but I wanted to show off how effective the stage hazards are. Wow, perfect. I'll get my Heavy Strike here, and then you can see it activates a hidden effect. This is a Heavy Strike upgrade you want. anyways, even if you're not going for the hidden bonus. It makes your heavy strike a much better DPS tool. But then once you get both of these, it really starts to take off a lot more. So now you can see how powerful the heavy strike is already. It's pretty much just one-shotting through everything. Wow. This is literally the most perfect luck I could have, because this is the only other thing I need for the heavy strike build. Universal enhancements. Universal enhancement for universal attacks. There are more blades. So now I'm just completely set for the rest of the run. Unless I make some kind of very major mistake, this run will be very quick. So that was a very, very easy first boss fight. Your boss fight is probably not going to go anywhere nearly that smooth if you're doing 100 entropy. I'd recommend taking Jin as a legacy on Lambda, both for the passive and the active freeze. If you don't really get anything for DPS, you can just kind of rely on your basic skill over time, and then when you get a gen freeze or a dodge, you can either spam dash attacks or spam jump and attack. So black markets are very, very strong in this game, but I made a rule that in my 100 entropy videos I wouldn't use them, since they're a lot more random to show up. I know the potentials are also very random, but that's not something I can control. Whereas with things like the buying buffs at the beginning, I can limit myself just to using one, and then same with the black markets, I can just choose not to take them. Because really I would like people to be able to follow what I do in the video as consistently as possible. Obviously, like I said, with stuff like potentials, that's just not possible. Some other good potentials you can look out for before the first boss room to help you out are, you could look for a Luminous Slave. That one's very strong, just for dealing a lot of free damage for you without putting you in danger. Any form of like Heavy Strike, as soon as you get the Heavy Strike upgrade where it deals more hits, and then the up dash and the universal for attacks have more blades will be strong as a DPS. There's another one where on your basic skill you can press X after each hit to summon an additional hit. That one will pretty much double the DPS of your basic skill. So there's plenty of DPS routes you can go into before you get to the first boss fight. And like I said, if you don't end up getting any of them, worst case scenario, you can go for Jen's freeze or his slow time from hitting a dodge. And then you can use dash attacks very quickly. They're strong, especially if you have the universal for them to be bigger or have more blades. You can use heavy attacks pretty quickly from a range just by starting to hold it down immediately instead of waiting for all of your blades to come out like that. You can also attack from range with the blades as well. I don't really use them too often, but they're viable. If you see triple jump throughout the run, you'll probably want to pick it up on Lambda as well. The second part here, when you get knocked away, you can press jump to recover your stance, is good for saving yourself from a lot of boss attacks in general. But for Lambda in particular, that will have a good hidden effect with Luminous Slave. Another one of the good options you can go down for Lambda is the Op plus attack input. That one's not as good a DPS, and it's not nearly as safe to use as the heavy attack, but it is high DPS as well. It's very, very good for clearing out the normal enemy rooms, though. You shouldn't really have too many problems with safety on it, because it'll be keeping everything pretty much together for you, and keeping everything in hit stun as well. Another thing you can look out for is this universal enhancement for universal skills. The blades become larger and break super armor. That one is very good if you get into any of the skill builds, but even if you don't, it's really good on just her basic skill. If you end up going for the up plus attack input here, that one is also going to rely on a lot of its scaling being on the universal attack, or the universal enhancement for attack summon more blades. Lambda, in general, really tends to focus on that synergy between her universal enhancements and her attacks. She also focuses a lot more heavily on potential upgrades or potential synergies than other characters. She's never really going to have one single potential pickup that can just carry the run for you. She's much more focused on either getting a certain upgrade for a potential, or being able to start stacking the potential with universal enhancements. So that can make it more difficult to get runs started on her, but she's still flexible enough to the point of where you should be able to get a decent run going as long as you can make it through the first to second area. So one of the reasons why selling additional tactics and going into the shops is so good, even on 100 entropy where everything is expensive, is that when you get healing from a rest area or a boss stage, it's only going to heal around 25% of your HP, whereas you can see when I buy the heal here, it's still going to heal a full 60%. This is the potential I was talking about earlier, by the way. This will help out a lot with your early boss DPS too, if you don't have anything else available. You can also see, thanks to me being able to refresh shops so often and having the discount, I have 7 what are they called? I have 7 HP mixtures, which is definitely more than enough healing than I would ever need to finish the run. Really, a lot of the difficulty from 100 entropy comes from that lack of healing. So, with the right tactic setup, or with the right, why am I forgetting the name for them now? With the right mind crystal setup like this, you can just completely negate that problem, pretty much. Having 7 HP mixtures is not typical, and it's not something you're going to get every run. But even if you just think about the 3 mixtures giving you like an extra 3 life bars, it's very reasonable. You could use around 1 mixture per area, and then by the end you should be able to buy at least 1 extra mixture, so you could use that for the 4th area. And that's not even considering the healing you're able to buy from shops as well. I finally got Luminous Slave here now, which is the up plus attack input. It summons these portals, and then now I can also show off the... Actually, let me use a mixture right here. See how much HP that healed back? That was at least half my HP bar there, and it could have maybe healed a little bit more. Ah, never mind, I'm not at full HP, so that was the limit of how much it healed. But still more than enough. So anyways, you can see when I jump, it summons Luminous Slave Portal, which will do a free attack for me. And those attacks will be doing like 1,000 to 2,000 damage, depending on how many potentials you have. I think it hit at 3,000 there, but that was against like a really weak enemy. It's doing about 2.4 to these. It also just... it counts as a skill hit, so if you're using skill Chain Lightning, it'll proc the Chain Lightning for you, which will just kill a lot of enemies for free, even just as you're moving around the stage. Legacy Edge can be good if you're going for Frost on your skills, or if you just don't have anything else yet. But if you see it later in the run, after you already have other options, I wouldn't really recommend it too much. It's really good for proccing Frost Burst on skills, but the problem is it leaves you very vulnerable as you're setting it up. There's a delay on being able to set it up. Oops, I think I just screwed that up. Oh well. I like jumping when I use my Luminous Slave Portals, because it makes me a lot safer. But I put it up in the top of the map there, so it couldn't even shoot anything. This room can be very, very bad. I think this is actually the room I lost the last 100 entropy attempt I did on Lambda, in commentary at least. But I've gotten a lot better since I did that. And I have really good potentials this run, so it's not really much of an issue. Any rooms that say either you need to survive for a certain amount of time, or you need to kill a certain amount of enemies to clear the room, you need to pay a little bit more attention to. Especially the rooms that say to survive for a certain amount of time. Those are usually the toughest rooms in the game. And then that room in particular that I went through there was even worse because it's such a small area and there's such a low ceiling too. There's a couple stages here like that. The only thing I'm missing at this point is my triple dash, which I'd really prefer to get before I go to Suzano. I would really want it for this boss fight too, but I'll just have to deal with not having it. I'll play it a lot safer since I don't. My dodge timing is not on this boss fight. I'm so used to having triple dash by this boss fight that I can just kind of spam the dodge button and not have to think about it. But even then, my timings were really bad. I was pressing it late a lot of times. But oh well, I don't have to play every boss fight perfectly. That'll show you how bad you can fuck up a boss fight and still be okay. I'll use a mixture here and... oh look, I'm back to full HP. 100 entropy really isn't that hard. You just have to prepare for it properly. So this part of the run is going to be a pain in the ass though. There are certain debuffs that you really need to remove, like kill streak, damage reduction, and MP recovery in my case. And it's probably going to remove... yep, it's going to remove everything except for the one I want. So now... I'm going to have to make sure I get a lot of money as I move to Suzano. And it's going to be annoying because that's going to be money that I can't put towards my potentials and try to get triple dash. It also just wastes a lot of time. And time is not something you have when it comes to Omega Sector. I've cleared the run very quickly, so I have 7 minutes left on my timer right now. But that's not going to happen on a lot of characters. Why do I feel like I'm getting no money? It usually feels like I make a lot more money than this as I'm moving through here. I guess I was very low too, because usually I don't spend right away at the shop. Since I have a little extra time, I'm gonna go ahead and try to farm some extra enemies here, and I probably will even take an extra boss. Sweeper is not the best boss, but I'll probably kill him fast enough, it doesn't matter. This up plus a dash input isn't something that I've been using a lot up until now, but it is another very good source of DPS. And it does seem to have some weird properties to where it'll like stop the boss from moving and attacking sometimes. Alright, hopefully I can get my triple dash here. Oh man, that's a really good upgrade too. But since I have an attack-based build already, a very strong one, I'm gonna pass on it and try and get triple dash. That's another upgrade I really want to... Okay, good. Those other upgrades would have been nice, but at this point, I have all the damage that I need. The only thing I need to make sure is that I have my extra safety for the Suzano fight. Triple dash is extremely broken in this game. The amount of immunity frames you have just by casting it back to back is really high, and it makes it where you don't really have to think about a lot of boss attacks. Alright, as I go into the Suzano boss fight, since it's 100 entropy, I'm actually gonna just focus on the boss fight and not do any commentary. So I'll edit in some music here for the boss fight, and then probably just end the video as soon as the boss fight ends. So real quick before we do that, I'm pretty burnt out on this game right now. So this will be my last video for a while until some major updates come, like a rework to some of the system mechanics or a new character. So thank you guys for watching any of the videos or commenting on any of them. I'll probably be back to playing this game at some point, but for now I'm gonna take a break for a while. I might feature another game on the channel. I'm still trying to find something that I want to get into and that I can actually play. I have pretty bad motion sickness with camera movement, so there's not a whole lot of options I have to choose from. Anyways, I will see you guys around.